The air is soft tonight, heavy with the warmth of the desert that has only just begun to release the day's sun. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of Egypt's vast sands, watching the horizon shimmer as gold turns slowly into violet, and violet fades toward the deep indigo of approaching night. The desert breathes quietly, steady and timeless, while behind you the Nile carries its endless waters toward the sea. Its surface gleams faintly under the last light, a living ribbon that has nourished this land for thousands of years. The reeds stir, whispering like gentle voices in the dusk, and you feel that you stand in the presence of something eternal. Now close your eyes and take a breath as though you are someone who lived here long ago. Picture yourself as a woman of Egypt, perhaps from Thebes, perhaps from Memphis, barefoot upon cool temple stone, the warmth of the earth still radiating through the floor beneath you. Your linen dress, woven by hand, falls lightly against your skin. You carry within you the quiet strength of one who works, who tends, who loves, and who hopes. Around you, life is simple but filled with rhythm. Grinding grain, kneading dough, nursing children, drawing water from the Nile. Yet threaded through every task is a constant awareness of the gods, of eternity, and of the fragile but wondrous thread that binds this life to what comes after. For the Egyptians, life and death were not opposites. They were companions. Death was not an ending, but a door, a passage to another place where the cycle of life could continue. You might rise each morning with the sun god Ra as he sailed his golden boat across the sky, and you might sleep each night with trust that he would return at dawn. Just as the sun was reborn each day, so too, it was believed, could a soul be reborn after death. The desert and the river taught this lesson constantly. What seems barren can bloom again when water comes. What seems gone can return in a new season. Imagine the temples rising around you, massive and enduring, carved with images of gods and pharaohs, of sacred animals and timeless prayers. Their walls glow softly in the fading light, each hieroglyph catching the last golden rays. These places are not only for kings or queens. They are part of your world, shaping how you understand yourself. Every inscription, every painted image tells a story of eternity, of the journey a soul must take once it leaves the body. You might not know all the sacred texts by heart, but you know the songs, the offerings, the small prayers whispered in kitchens and fields, because everyone lives with the afterlife in mind. Think of the heart that beats inside your chest. To you, as an Egyptian, it is not merely flesh. It is the seat of thought, of memory, of conscience. It is the part of you that will one day be weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and balance. This knowledge shapes how you act. Kindness matters, honesty matters, keeping harmony matters. Even as you live in an ordinary house, sweep sand from your doorway, share meals of bread and beer, you carry within you the hope that your heart will be found light, that you will pass into the fields of eternity. There is something deeply comforting in this. In your world, the afterlife is not reserved for rulers cloaked in gold. It is promised in some way to everyone, to the farmer who bends his back to the soil, to the potter whose hands shape clay into jars, to the mother who soothes her child with lullabies under the same stars that I speak beneath now. Even in grief, when someone passes from your family, you do not despair utterly. You mourn, yes, with tears and laments, but beneath the sorrow lies a steady faith. They journey onward, just as you will one day, and so you live with dual awareness. Every step you take across temple stone, every offering you make at the small household shrine, every word spoken in truth rather than falsehood, these are part of your preparation. Life itself is a rehearsal for eternity, each act weaving into the tapestry of your soul. To live well is to die well, and to die well is to live forever. Pause now, and let yourself feel the quiet power of this belief. It is gentle, it is steady, and it belongs as much to the washerwoman as to the queen, as much to the scribe as to the pharaoh. The afterlife is not distant or abstract. It hums softly in every breath of Nile wind, in every handful of grain, in every prayer whispered into the dusk. As you stand there, barefoot, the stone cooling beneath you, you carry both the weight of daily life and the shimmering hope of eternity. You know the gods watch, but you also know they care, that their stories are tied to yours. And when the time comes, when the tomb doors open and you step into that deeper night, you will not be alone. You will walk with countless others, guided by those who walked before you, toward the weighing of the heart and the promise of forever. As we step into this journey together, imagine yourself preparing for the final passage. If you find yourself curious or comforted, let me know in the comments how you picture eternity. The first light of dawn creeps softly across the horizon, spilling golden hues over the waters of the Nile. You rise with it, as your ancestors have always done, the cool air of morning clinging to your skin before the sun begins its long and burning journey overhead. The river hums with life at this hour. Ibis birds wading in the shallows, fishermen pushing small boats out into the current, women gathering water in clay jars balanced with practiced ease upon their shoulders. The Nile is the lifeline of Egypt, and every breath you take seems bound to its steady rhythm, its eternal pulse. Your day begins with work, yet the work is not dull. In the grinding of grain, you feel the heartbeat of survival, the song of continuity. You kneel by a flat stone, one heavy grinding stone in your hands, and push it back and forth over kernels of barley. The sound is steady, rhythmic, almost meditative. Powdered grain rises like dust motes, catching the sunlight as it filters into your home. This flour will become bread that sustains you, your family, and perhaps even the gods when you place small loaves as offerings at a shrine. The simple act of grinding grain is tied to both life and eternity, a gesture that reaches beyond this world into the next. Nearby, weaving begins. Strips of linen, light as the desert breeze, are pulled taut across a loom. Fingers move patiently, thread by thread, creating cloth that will clothe bodies in this life and wrap them in the next. The scent of flax lingers faintly, earthy and familiar. Each garment carries not only the comfort of today but also the promise of tomorrow. For linen has a role to play in burial and in ritual. You watch the weaving as though it were time itself, a fabric stretched between what is and what will be. Step outside, and the village hums with gentle busyness. Children laugh as they chase one another in the sand, their giggles echoing against mud brick walls. A farmer tends to his goats, brushing flies from their backs. Water wheels creak slowly as they draw the Nile upward, spilling life into irrigation channels that spread across the fields. The air carries a mixture of scents: fresh bread baking in clay ovens, reeds drying in the sun, and faint smoke from a cooking fire curling skyward. These sounds and smells are not just background. They are memory, they are meaning, they are the threads that hold your world together. Everywhere, the gods are present, not distant, unreachable figures, but companions woven into your day. You pause at the small shrine in your household, perhaps no larger than a niche in the wall, where a tiny statue waits. Before beginning your chores, you place a crumb of bread, a sip of beer, or a flower there. Smoke from burning resin curls upward, carrying your prayer. You whisper words for protection, for health, for harmony in your family. Even the smallest gesture, a hand brushing the amulet you wear around your neck, feels like a reminder that you are seen, guided, cared for. The amulet might be in the shape of an ankh, symbol of life, or perhaps the eye of Horus, guarding you from illness and harm. Some wear tiny scarabs, reminding them of rebirth and the eternal rising of the sun. These charms are not decoration, they are companions. As you tie one around a child's neck, you are not just adorning them. You are asking the gods to walk beside them, to shield them from unseen dangers. Later in the day, when the sun climbs high and heat presses down upon the earth, you seek the shadow of a temple wall. There, cool stone embraces you, and you gaze upon hieroglyphs etched into its surface. Scenes of gods and kings unfold before your eyes, timeless and commanding. Though carved centuries ago, they speak directly to you. The stories remind you that your small acts, sweeping, baking, weaving, offering, are all part of a greater design. You are living in harmony with Ma'at, the principle of truth and balance, which guides not only the cosmos but also the quiet rhythm of your village. The Nile continues to sing through your day. You hear it when water jars are filled, when nets are cast into the current, when boats laden with grain drift downstream. The river gives and takes. It nourishes crops, it carries fish, it floods and recedes with its own steady wisdom. To live by the Nile is to live in trust, for you know its patterns and yet accept its mysteries. In this way, the river becomes both teacher and promise, that just as the waters return each year, so too might your soul return after death. Even the most ordinary of tasks becomes sacred when viewed through this lens. To knead dough is to prepare for eternity, for bread feeds both the living and the departed. To sew a tunic is to clothe the body, but also to ensure dignity in the afterlife. To teach a child to speak kindly, to act honestly, is to prepare their heart for its own weighing one day. Your entire life, in all its simplicity, is shaped by this awareness. And so, as you rest at the end of the day, you sit beside the doorway of your home, watching the sky blush with evening colors. A cool breeze stirs the reeds, and the laughter of children fades into quiet. The stars begin to emerge, each one like a bead on the vast necklace of night. You look at them not only with wonder but with assurance, for you know they are connected to the gods, to the endless cycle of time. You feel the ground beneath you solid and familiar, yet you also feel the pull of eternity just beyond it, a reminder that one day you too will cross into another world. Life here by the Nile is never just survival. It is preparation, it is connection, it is hope. Each moment, whether heavy with labor or light with laughter, is part of a greater story, a story that stretches from this day into forever. What small details from your own daily life, I wonder, would you want remembered forever? When death approaches in ancient Egypt, it is not met with suddenness or despair, but with a solemn awareness that a new journey is about to begin. Imagine yourself in a quiet household where a loved one has grown weak. The desert sun still glows outside, the Nile still flows, and daily life hums with its ordinary rhythms. But within the home, time feels different. Family members gather close, voices soft, movements careful. They bring water, wash the skin with gentle hands, and anoint the body with perfumed oils. These are acts of love, but also acts of preparation. In each touch lies reverence, for the body is not simply flesh. It is the vessel of a soul soon to step into eternity. Prayers rise in whispers, directed to Anubis, the guardian of the dead, the jackal-headed god who watches over the passage between life and afterlife. Offerings of incense curl upward like thin ribbons of smoke, carrying words of guidance and protection. You can almost hear the family's plea, Anubis, guide them safely, protect their spirit, walk with them in the darkness until light returns. In the Egyptian mind, death is not chaos but order, not an ending but a transition, and these small acts create harmony between sorrow and hope. Soon, the body is placed in the care of specialists, embalmers, men trained not only in skill but in ritual. The process of mummification is deliberate, respectful, and long. It is done not with fear or harshness but with the intention of preservation, for to preserve the body is to preserve the memory, the identity, the possibility of eternal life. In Egypt, the body and soul are bound together, and the Ka, the vital spirit, requires a recognizable home. Without it, there can be no reunion in the afterlife. The embalmers wash the body once more in sacred waters drawn from the Nile. They anoint it with resins, oils, and unguents, fragrances that mask decay, but also symbolize purification and holiness. Organs are carefully removed, each one preserved in canopic jars, their lids carved with protective deities who watch over liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines. These jars are not grim objects. They are guardians, companions for the eternal voyage. The heart, the seat of thought and memory, is treated with the greatest reverence. For it is the heart that will one day be weighed against the feather of truth, deciding whether the soul may enter the fields of eternity. Layer by layer, the body is wrapped in linen, each strip smoothed by loving hands. Prayers are spoken as each piece is placed, words asking for protection, for light, for safe passage. Amulets, small scarabs, ankhs, eyes of Horus, are tucked into the wrappings, like seeds planted in soil, each one meant to grow into protection and rebirth. The process is not hurried. It is careful, deliberate, filled with pauses for prayer, as though each moment is a thread woven into the fabric of eternity. While this work is done, the family grieves, yet their grief is softened by belief. They cry, they wail, they remember the laughter and words of the one who has passed. Women, especially, take on the role of mourners. They lift their voices in laments, singing songs that rise into the air like wings. These laments are not only expressions of sorrow but bridges between the living and the dead. Through song, memory is kept alive, and through memory, the soul is never lost. Their voices echo against the walls of temples and tombs, carrying with them the weight of love and the assurance that even in loss, there is connection. Imagine standing among them, the sound of their lament weaving around you. It is mournful, yes, but also strangely beautiful. Carries grief, but also devotion. These women are not only expressing sorrow, they are preserving memory, anchoring the departed in the hearts of those who remain. To forget would be the greatest tragedy. To remember is to keep the soul alive, even as it journeys into the unseen. The atmosphere is tender. Tears are shed, but not in despair. The Egyptians trust their gods, their rituals, and the eternal cycle of life and death. Death comes gently, like the setting of the sun, followed by a promise that dawn will rise again. In the stillness, faith holds space for sorrow and hope to coexist. When at last the mummification is complete, the body is placed in its coffin, often painted with bright colors, inscribed with spells and prayers from the Book of the Dead. These words are like maps, guiding the soul past dangers, through trials, toward the hall of judgment. The coffin is both a home and a ship, carrying the departed across the threshold of this world to the next. The funeral procession follows, with family, neighbors, and priests walking together. Women mourners sing once more, their voices raw with love, while men carry offerings of food, flowers, and incense. The coffin is transported to its resting place, whether a simple tomb or an elaborate one carved deep into stone. Every step is deliberate, every gesture a reminder that death is part of the great order, woven into the cycle of life, just as the Nile floods and recedes each year. And so the departed is laid to rest, not in despair but in hope. The family lingers, leaving offerings, bread, beer, dates, figs, jars of water. These are not just symbols. They are provisions for the journey. The dead are not abandoned but cared for, nourished, remembered. The tomb is sealed, but the bond between living and dead endures through offerings, prayers, and memory. Even today, across time and distance, we carry our loved ones through ritual and remembrance. We may not anoint with oils or wrap in linen, but we gather, we speak names, we sing, we remember. In grief, we find ways to soften sorrow, to carry memory forward, to honor the journey of those we love. How do you honor those you've lost? The breath leaves your body softly, almost like a sigh carried away by the desert wind. The world you knew, the hum of the Nile, the chatter of neighbors, the warmth of the sun on your skin, fades into stillness. Yet there is no jarring end. Instead, you feel yourself drifting, as if lifted gently beyond weight, beyond pain. You are no longer bound to the heaviness of the flesh. Something inside you stirs, opens, and steps forward. You are beginning the passage. Around you there is coolness. The air no longer holds the heat of the day, but the hush of a star-strewn night. Darkness enfolds you, yet it is not empty. Above, faint stars gleam like scattered jewels, shimmering in patterns older than memory. Beneath your feet, stone feels cool, as though you are walking along a path carved into the depths of the earth. Torches flicker in the distance, casting long shadows, their flames swaying as though whispering secrets to one another. Your heart trembles. Fear brushes against you like a chill, but it is softened by something greater: hope. For you know that this journey has been prepared for you since your first breath. The rituals, the prayers, the amulets placed with care against your skin, these were not for show. They were protections, tools, companions for this moment. You step forward, your footsteps quiet but steady, and the path of the Duat, the underworld, opens before you. From the shadows comes a presence, neither frightening nor cold, but steady and watchful. Jackal-headed Anubis, the guide of souls, stands at your side. His dark eyes gleam like polished stone, and though his form is otherworldly, there is reassurance in his gaze. He does not speak, yet you understand. He is here to guide, to protect, to carry you past the dangers that lie ahead. You are not alone. The air shifts, filled with the faint murmurs of unseen guardians. They whisper from the walls of the Duat, their voices neither hostile nor welcoming, but cautious. This is not a place where the careless may walk. Every step you take is a test of faith, of truth, of memory. Yet you recall the words inscribed on the coffin that cradled your body, the spells read aloud by the priests, verses from the Book of the Dead. They hover in your mind like fragments of light, illuminating the shadows around you. These words are not mere incantations. They are lifelines, passwords to carry you forward. The Duat is vast, layered with rivers of darkness and fields of stars, with twisting passages and watchful gates. Each turn feels uncertain, yet Anubis's presence steadies your stride. The torches cast their glow ahead, and you notice the walls etched with hieroglyphs, scenes of gods and guardians, each one painted to guide, to warn, to remind. You trace them with your eyes, remembering what the living priests once told you. Know their names, remember their stories, and you will not falter. Your heart beats, strong and steady. You place your hand over your chest and feel its rhythm. You know it will be weighed. That moment lies ahead. The heart is your truth, your essence. It remembers not only your deeds but also your intentions, your kindness, your failings. Can it stand against the feather of Ma'at, the perfect measure of balance and justice? The thought unsettles you, but you keep walking. To stop now would be to surrender, and your soul was not born for surrender. The air grows cooler, filled with the scent of incense that is not of this world, sharp and sweet, a reminder of the temples where offerings once burned. Somewhere, you hear the low trickle of water, as though a river flows in the darkness. You follow the sound, guided by its rhythm, and soon you see it. A wide expanse of water, black as obsidian, its surface reflecting starlight. This is no earthly Nile, but a river of passage, one that separates what you were from what you will become. A boat waits, its prow carved in the shape of a lotus, its deck illuminated by the glow of unseen light. The ferryman watches silently, his form hidden beneath a hood, yet his presence is firm and expectant. You step aboard, feeling the boat shift beneath your weight, and Anubis follows, silent and steady. The oar dips into the dark water, and the boat glides forward without sound. As you cross, whispers rise again, this time closer, surrounding you. Shapes emerge from the shadows, guardians with the heads of falcons, lions, serpents, and creatures unlike anything you knew in life. Some watch in silence, others lean forward as if to challenge your right to pass. But the amulets hidden in your wrappings stir with light, and the words of the Book of the Dead echo in your thoughts. You speak them, trembling but resolute, and the guardians step back. One by one, their forms dissolve into shadow, leaving the way clear. The river carries you to the far shore, where the landscape opens into strange beauty. Palm trees sway though no wind touches them. Fields stretch wide beneath a sky painted with endless stars. And in the distance, you glimpse golden gates guarded by towering figures. This is not yet the field of reeds, not yet the final resting place, but it is closer. Every step forward carries you deeper into the Duat, closer to the Hall of Judgment, closer to eternity. Anubis turns to you at last, his gaze steady, his silence heavy with meaning. Though he does not speak, you feel the question pressed into your heart. Will you step forward into the unknown? Will you trust that your truth, your heart, your faith will carry you safely to the other side? Your breath catches, though you no longer breathe as you once did. Your heart trembles, though it is now more spirit than flesh. Yet you take a step forward, then another, for this is your path. The threshold has been crossed, and there is no returning. Only onward, only trust, only eternity waiting to be discovered. Would you be brave enough to step forward into the unknown, trusting that your heart will carry you? The Duat stretches before you, vast and layered, a realm both wondrous and unsettling. It is not a simple road, nor is it a single night's walk. Here, every step tests the weight of your spirit. Every shadow questions who you truly are. You walk forward, guided by the faint glow of torches and the steady presence of Anubis beside you. Yet even with his watchful gaze, the air feels heavy, as though unseen eyes are judging every breath, every memory, every hidden thought. Soon, you arrive at a towering gate carved into stone. Its surface shimmers faintly, covered with hieroglyphs that shift as though alive. The gate is flanked by guardians, beings with the heads of serpents and the bodies of men, their eyes burning with otherworldly fire. They do not move, but their presence is overwhelming, pressing against your chest like a weight. You recall the words you once heard from temple priests. No gate opens without a name. No guardian steps aside without being honored. Summoning courage, you whisper the names written long ago on your funerary papyrus, the protective spells placed in your tomb. Your voice trembles, but the words carry strength. The hieroglyphs glow brighter, and the guardians lower their spears, stepping aside. The gate creaks open, and you pass through, your heart racing. But the Duat is not conquered so easily. Another passage, darker still, opens before you. Shadows stir here, long, shifting shapes that reach for you like grasping hands. These are not merely creatures. They are doubts, fears, and regrets. Did you live kindly enough? Did your words ever wound more deeply than you knew? The shadows whisper your own faults back to you. The times you were selfish, the times you turned away. Your knees weaken, but then you remember the amulet of Ma'at that once hung over your breast, a token of truth and balance. You press your hand to your heart and speak the words of negation. I have not lied. I have not stolen. I have not caused pain without cause. With every phrase, the shadows hesitate, falter, and then dissolve, as if burned away by honesty itself. Still, you cannot help but wonder, was it all true? Or did mercy weave through the gods' hearing, softening your flaws with compassion? The path narrows, and before you rises a colossal figure, its head that of a lion, its body that of a man, its hands gripping a great staff. Its eyes glow golden, and its voice, when it speaks, is like stone grinding against stone. What do you bring to this place? Your lips part, and you answer not with wealth nor offerings, but with the truth of your life. You tell of the bread you baked for neighbors, the water you shared in the heat of summer, the prayers whispered for others when they fell ill. You also confess the times you failed, when your patience was short, when anger flickered too quickly. The guardian listens, expression unmoving, and after a silence that feels like eternity, it steps aside. You pass, shaken but alive within your spirit. Another river awaits, this one thick and sluggish, its surface crawling with crocodile-headed beings. Their teeth gleam, and their eyes lock onto you with hunger. This is no ordinary water. It is the stream of forgetfulness, the current that erases the unworthy, pulling them into nothingness. The ferryman demands a toll, not of gold, but of words. You speak the spell you once learned. May this river not take me. May these teeth not pierce me. I am protected, I am guided. The crocodiles hiss, snapping their jaws, but the boat carries you across untouched. On the far bank, jackals and serpents weave around your feet, their forms both real and illusory. You realize they are not here to harm but to challenge. Do you step forward with fear or with faith? You breathe slowly, lifting your chin, and walk on. The creatures slither back into darkness, defeated not by force, but by your willingness to face them without faltering. As you continue, you notice that the trials are not only about danger, they are mirrors. Each gate, each guardian, each shadow reflects the life you lived. Were you honest? Were you brave? Did you treat others with kindness? The Duat demands these answers, not from your lips alone, but from the weight of your soul. It is unsettling, perhaps, to know that even the smallest gestures, sharing a fig, speaking kindly to a stranger, might matter as much as grand deeds. Yet it is comforting, too, To think that the gods notice even the quiet acts of goodness. At last, you come to a final passage where the air grows heavy, thick with incense. Here, the walls are lined with glowing hieroglyphs, each one a spell of protection. You trace them with your eyes, and the words rise in your memory, carried from the scrolls buried with you. O you who guard the way, I come in truth. O you who weigh the heart, I come with lightness. You whisper them, and the path opens like a breath of wind, carrying you onward toward judgment. Your trials are not over, they will culminate soon, when your heart itself is tested. Yet you have walked through darkness and faced shadows that would have undone the unprepared. You wonder, quietly, how your life would balance. Was your kindness enough to guard you, or will your mistakes weigh too heavily? And so I must ask you, as you walk this path with me, in your own life, which virtues would guard your way, and which shadows might trouble your steps? The path through the Duat has carried you past shadows, guardians, and doubts. Yet all of it has led here, to the threshold of the Hall of Two Truths. You pause, and for a long moment you cannot move. Before you rises an immense chamber, its scale overwhelming, its silence more profound than any you have known. The air shimmers faintly with incense, sweet and bitter all at once, drifting upward toward a ceiling so high it disappears into shadow. Columns carved with lotus blossoms line the hall, stretching into eternity, their surfaces painted with images of gods and stars. Every step you take seems to echo across eternity itself. You know where you are. This is the place spoken of in temple hymns, painted in tombs, whispered about in stories by firelight. This is where your heart will be weighed, where the truth of your life will be revealed, and where no lie, no excuse, no forgotten kindness will be hidden. Here, the scales of Ma'at wait. Your feet feel heavy as you enter, though you no longer walk as you did in life. Every movement feels both yours and not yours, as though unseen hands guide you forward. Ahead, the gods themselves are gathered, assembled in solemn witness. Their forms are radiant, their presence vast and undeniable. You glimpse the falcon-headed Horus, radiant like the dawn. Isis, with her wings outstretched in quiet blessing. Hathor, serene and watchful, her eyes filled with compassion. Yet even in their number, your gaze is drawn to the central figures, those who will decide your fate. There sits Osiris, Lord of the Dead, upon a golden throne draped in linen as white as desert sand. His skin glows green, a symbol of rebirth, and the crook and flail rest across his chest in calm authority. Around him, a shimmering aura radiates both gentleness and absolute justice. His eyes, dark and steady, meet yours, and in that gaze you feel both the weight of judgment and the possibility of mercy. Beside him, Anubis steps forward, his jackal head tilted, his form silent yet commanding. He carries with him the scales, gleaming and perfect, each side suspended in perfect balance. He does not speak, but his gaze reminds you of his role. He is not here to condemn, nor to pardon, but to measure. It is his hands that will place your heart upon the scales. Nearby, the ibis-headed Thoth waits, his quill in hand, his scroll unrolled. His eyes glimmer like polished stone as he watches, prepared to record every word, every motion, every outcome. Nothing will be forgotten, nothing overlooked. The truth will be preserved in his careful script, eternal and unchanging. And at the edge of the hall, crouched in restless hunger, waits Ammit, the devourer. Her body is stitched together from lion, crocodile, and hippopotamus, the three most fearsome creatures known to your people. Her jaws glisten with sharp teeth, her eyes burn with impatience, and her claws scrape against the stone floor. If your heart proves heavy, if it tips the scales toward falsehood, she will consume it, and your soul will dissolve into nothingness. To live no more, to be forgotten, erased, that is the true death. You tremble. You cannot help it. For though you recall the spells, the prayers, the offerings, you also remember your life in its fullness. The moments of generosity and kindness, yes, but also the times of anger, the careless words, the silent failures. Will they weigh upon your heart like stones? Or will your compassion, your love, your hopes, rise like wings? Anubis beckons you forward, and you step into the center of the hall. The scales gleam before you, each plate perfectly polished, suspended in delicate balance. Upon one side lies the feather of Ma'at, pure, white, and radiant, yet impossibly light. It is truth itself, the measure of justice, harmony, and balance. On the other side, Anubis gestures, and your heart appears, lifted from your chest though you still feel it beating inside you. It rests now in his hand, glowing faintly, warm and alive, carrying within it every moment you ever lived. You stand trembling, watching as Anubis lowers your heart onto the plate. The sound is soft, but it echoes through the hall, reverberating in your bones. Your heart sits there, beating slowly, and with each beat you sense your past. Every kindness, every cruelty, every joy, every regret. The scales tremble, shifting as though deciding. You watch, unable to breathe though you have no lungs, unable to move though your spirit longs to flee. Thoth leans forward, his quill poised, eyes intent. Ammit growls softly, her claws scraping as she edges closer. Osiris watches in silence, his gaze calm yet piercing, as though he already knows. Anubis stands beside you, steady as stone, neither urging nor reassuring, but present all the same. The scales sway, and for a moment, fear floods you. You wonder, was the bread you gave to the hungry enough? Did the prayers you whispered for others outweigh the harsh words you once spoke in anger? Did the love you carried shine brighter than the shadows of selfishness? Every choice, every fleeting decision, every glance of compassion or neglect seems to breathe through your heart, now exposed before eternity. The feather glows faintly, and the scales begin to steady. Your heart does not sink into heaviness, nor does it rise above truth. It finds balance. For your life was not perfect, yet it was real. You stumbled, yes, but you also loved. You faltered, yet you sought to make amends. And perhaps that is what the gods see. Not perfection, but sincerity, not flawlessness, but the striving for balance. Osiris inclines his head slightly, his expression unreadable yet calm. Thoth writes swiftly, capturing the judgment with strokes of his quill. Anubis stands still, his gaze fixed upon the scales. Ammit snarls softly, her hunger unsated, and at last she turns away, fading into the shadows, denied her feast. Relief floods through you, a weight lifting not from your heart, but from your very being. The hall itself seems to breathe, the incense curling upward more sweetly now, the columns glowing faintly in the divine light. You have passed the test not by being flawless, but by being true. Yet even in this moment of calm, you cannot help but reflect. The question lingers, gentle but piercing. If your heart were weighed tonight, would it rest lightly with kindness or heavily with regret? The hall fades behind you, its vast columns and solemn judges dissolving into light. The fear that once tightened around your spirit loosens, and for the first time since leaving your body, you feel a calmness deeper than breath. A warmth spreads through you, neither harsh nor blinding, but golden, like the first rays of dawn spilling across the Nile. You step forward, and before your eyes unfolds the eternal reward, the fields of reeds. At first, it feels like coming home, though this place is grander than anything in life. The air is soft, filled with the faint fragrance of lotus blossoms drifting across still waters. The Nile flows here, wide and calm, its surface rippling gently as if stirred by the laughter of children at play. Its waters gleam like liquid sunlight, endless, eternal, nourishing the land forever. You walk barefoot, and the earth beneath you is cool and welcoming, covered with reeds that sway lightly in a breeze. The fields stretch out endlessly, golden and green, heavy with grain that will never wither, never fail. Every stalk stands tall, every harvest is abundant, and the labor here is not toil but joy. You take a handful of grain, feeling its weight in your palm, and know that no hunger will ever touch you again. Around you, voices rise, familiar voices, beloved voices. Your family is here, smiling, their faces unlined by grief or age. Friends long gone step forward, their arms open in welcome. Children you once held run laughing through the fields, their laughter as pure as birdsong. You embrace them, and their warmth fills you, real and lasting. Here, no farewell will come, no sorrow will intrude. Reunion is forever. The houses are simple but perfect, made of mud brick that never crumbles, painted bright with colors that do not fade. You pass through courtyards where meals are shared, tables heavy with bread, figs, honey, and wine. The scent of roasting fish rises in the air, carried from the riverbanks where nets always return full. You realize there is no scarcity here, no fear of drought or flood. The Nile provides without ceasing, its rhythm eternal, its generosity unending. You find yourself working, but the work is light and joyful. You guide an ox through a field, its steps steady, its eyes calm, the soil parting easily beneath the plow. Yet your arms do not ache, nor your back tire. Instead, the act itself feels like song, a rhythm in harmony with the land. You weave mats, and the reeds bend willingly to your hands, supple and smooth. You grind grain, and the stones move with ease, as if eager to help. Every task is not burden, but belonging, a way of being one with the earth. The light in the fields of reeds is gentle. There is no harsh glare of noon, no darkness of midnight. Instead, the sky glows with perpetual dawn and evening, a soft radiance that never fades. The sun rests golden on the horizon, painting everything in warmth. Birds circle overhead, their wings flashing silver, their calls lilting and sweet. The breeze carries music, though no one seems to play it, as though the air itself hums with harmony. You wander further and find groves heavy with dates, figs, and pomegranates, their fruit ripe and sweet. You reach out, and the branches lower themselves as if offering their bounty freely. You taste, and the flavor bursts on your tongue, more vivid than in life, more nourishing than you could have imagined. Water jars are always full, bread always fresh, and wine always poured. Abundance is the law here, not scarcity. Even the animals walk peacefully. Cows graze in lush meadows, their bells chiming gently. Cats lounge in the sun, their eyes half closed in eternal contentment. Birds hop at your feet without fear, their songs weaving into the air. Even crocodiles drift lazily in the river, not hunters but guardians, their eyes gleaming with watchful calm. Everywhere you turn, there is peace, not the peace of emptiness, but of fulfillment. Every hunger is fed, every longing answered, every heart united with those it loves. You realize that this is not just reward, it is balance restored. The hardships of life, the griefs and uncertainties, dissolve here, replaced with harmony so complete it feels like a gentle embrace. You sit beneath a palm tree, the fronds rustling softly overhead. In the distance, fields shimmer gold, the Nile bends and winds endlessly, and voices of laughter carry on the breeze. You breathe, or rather, you rest in the certainty that this is forever. No season will turn, no death will come. You are home, and home will never be taken away. Close your eyes now, and picture your perfect place of rest. What would it look like for you? The hall grows still. The incense hangs heavy in the air, and all eyes fall upon the scales. Your heart rests there, trembling against the feather of Ma'at. For some, it tips too low, heavy with lies, cruelty, or selfishness left unhealed. And when that weight proves too great, the balance cannot be restored. In that moment, Ammit steps forward, the devourer, part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus. She is not a monster of vengeance, nor an executioner of anger. She is balance itself. With jaws wide, she consumes the heart, and with it, the soul that bore it. This is the second death, the end of being, the fading into silence. To the Egyptians, this was not cruelty. It was simply the way of the cosmos. Just as the Nile must flood and recede, just as crops must be sown and harvested, balance must be kept. A heart too heavy could not walk into eternity. To continue would be to bring disorder, to unsettle the harmony of the afterlife. And so, gently, firmly, existence itself was unmade. Yet this fate was not only feared because of the loss of eternity. It was feared because it meant being forgotten. To vanish from the fields of reeds was one thing, but to vanish from memory, from the lips of the living, was another sorrow altogether. In Egypt, to speak a person's name was to give them life again. To carve their name in stone was to let them endure beyond time. To place offerings, bread, beer, flowers, upon a tomb was to nourish their soul in the unseen world. And so, families labored with devotion. They saved for tombs, painted walls with prayers, inscribed names with care. Even the humblest homes kept shrines, clay figures, or scraps of writing, so that their beloved would not be lost. The fear was not only of Ammit's jaws, it was of silence, of being erased from the tapestry of memory. Imagine walking through the necropolis, the city of the dead. Row upon row of tombs stand, great and small. Some are covered with dazzling scenes of afterlife journeys, others simple, carved with only a few lines. But all bear names because the name is everything. To erase it was the gravest curse. To preserve it was the greatest love. The Egyptians believed that as long as your name was spoken, as long as offerings were left, you lived on. Your soul was fed, remembered, cherished. To be forgotten was to die twice, once in the body, once in memory. And so they fought the second death not only with rituals and prayers, but with memory itself. Even today, we feel this longing. We too hope our names will be spoken after we are gone. We save photographs, write letters, tell stories, carve our words into the world, all in hopes that some piece of us will remain. And when we whisper the names of our own loved ones who have passed, we take part in the same ancient promise. You are not forgotten. You still live in us. The Egyptians taught that a heart heavy with wrongdoing would find no place in eternity. But they also taught that love, remembrance, and kindness were stronger than death. To live well was to prepare the heart, and to be remembered was to endure. So I wonder, how do you hope others will keep your memory alive? All through this journey we have walked with the ancients, through the sands, the temples, the Duat itself. And now, as the story draws back toward reflection, I invite you to pause and breathe. The Egyptians carried with them a wisdom that was not locked away in tombs or hidden only in scrolls. It lived in their daily choices, in the way they treated one another, and in the way they imagined eternity. The heart, they believed, was the truest record of a person's life. Not a ledger kept by officials, not a list of deeds carved into stone, but a living weight built moment by moment through acts of honesty, compassion, or cruelty. The weighing of the heart was not only a mythic scene for judgment after death, it was a mirror held up to life. What fills your heart today will travel with you tomorrow. And so, they turned to Ma'at, the principle of truth, justice, balance, and harmony. Ma'at was not simply an idea. It was the fabric of the world itself. To live in Ma'at was to live in balance. With your family, with your neighbors, with the gods, with the land that sustained you. When the Nile rose and fell as it should, when markets bustled fairly, when kindness was offered without demand, Ma'at was present. It is easy to imagine ancient Egyptians only through their monuments and mummies, but their wisdom whispers something far more tender. Life is sacred not because it lasts forever, but because it can be lived in balance. A child's laughter, a loaf of bread shared, a prayer murmured over a sickbed. These, too, were ways of living with eternity in mind. And when evening came, they would lay their heads down knowing that the heart remembers everything. Each truth spoken, each kindness offered, each wrong forgiven. It all lightens the heart. And just as they believed that a heavy heart might falter in the hall of two truths, so too did they know that lightness, born of honesty and care, was a gift you could cultivate each day. Perhaps you feel this too. Perhaps as you listen now, you notice the small things you carry, the gestures that ease someone else's burden, or the words you wish you had spoken more gently. And perhaps you notice, too, the weight of regrets. The ancients would say, "Let Ma'at guide you. Seek balance, not perfection. The Nile floods and recedes, yet still it nourishes." So, too, can you return to balance after missteps? Living with eternity in mind does not mean fearing the judgment to come. It means finding peace in the present, allowing your heart to rest lighter tonight than it did this morning. Imagine setting down what you no longer need to carry. The harsh word you spoke, the worry that lingers, the envy that crept in. Imagine placing them gently upon the sands, letting the desert wind carry them away, leaving only the truth of who you are, still imperfect, but always striving for balance. For the Egyptians, eternity was not separate from daily life. They wove it into their songs, their labor, their meals, their stories. The afterlife was a promise, yes, but the present was already a rehearsal, a chance to live the harmony they hoped to continue forever. And so, when they ground grain or drew water, when they carved names into walls or kissed their children goodnight, they lived with the awareness that every moment could be eternal. As you drift toward sleep, let that thought rest with you. Your heart, too, is a scale. With each breath, each kindness, each letting go, it grows lighter. You do not need to be a pharaoh to live with eternity in mind. You only need to live with balance, with compassion, and with honesty. Close your eyes now and imagine the feather of Ma'at, bright and weightless, resting gently against your own heart. Feel its steadiness, its calm. Let the heaviness of the day slip away. And as you rest, trust that you are preparing, not only for tomorrow, but for the timeless journey that waits in the distance. If you find peace in this story, consider subscribing so we can continue these quiet journeys together.